Hello, I'm Steve Gray. From about 1980 to 1983, I was a part-time music instructor here at West Valley College. I'm standing in front of the room where I taught jazz and pop voice, and it was in that class where I met Kathy Vierra, who was one of the students in the class. Kathy would always stand out, not only for her, well, let's face it, for her size, but also, of course, for her enthusiasm, and she absolutely loved music. That was very apparent from the very beginning. Kathy had a really very strong voice, but she had a bit of a problem with her rhythm, and sometimes when we'd be doing songs, I'd be pointing out some of these rhythmic problems, and she would really concentrate on tapping her foot, and I'd say, Kathy, the rhythm isn't in your foot, it's inside. But unfortunately, I think that I've always felt that Kathy had a bit of a problem with the rhythm in the music because she had some arrhythmia going on with her heart, and we kind of refer to our heart as our central sense of rhythm. But she had a very bluesy voice. It turned out that she had actually seen me perform before. I used to do a little music combo that we would perform for Arthur Murray Dance Studios and so on. And it was me and a fellow playing an electric organ called a Cordavox. We had a saxophone player and a drummer. And we would play dance music. So Kathy came and saw us perform at one of the ones that we did at Arthur Murray. So in the course of doing this, I took the opportunity actually to put together a performance program. That is to say, we had about 6 or 8 singers, and so we did music from the 1950s and 60s and some contemporary music. And we had it all set up with the harmonies, and I actually set up a small orchestra. So we had it with some strings and saxophones, trumpets, trombones, guitar, bass, and drums. And we assigned Kathy to do the song Summertime because it turned out that Kathy she probably was the bravest person in the class when it came to improvisation. I actually would put on a music -1 record, and Kathy could scat along with that. She would scat along, and with almost no hesitation, she would just jump in there and put in her different her interpretation. She would add her melody and her own doobie-doos and scooby-doo-dats and all that sort of thing. Well, we did Summertime, and basically what I said was, I said to the orchestra, tell you what, whatever she does, just follow her. Don't worry about the specific rhyme scheme or rhythm scheme or something like that. Just follow her. And so she went in there and sang it almost as strong as Janis Joplin, but we had, instead of the electric guitars so much, we had a trumpet solo on that, and Kathy did a very good job on that. So she never lost her love of music. Every time I talked to her, she was trying to figure out some kind of a scheme, some way that she could get together money to do recordings, or she would see about sponsoring another band that she ran into with the idea that she would be able to get some of her own singing on there. But I talked with her one time. She was trying to think of a way that she could buy and sell foreclosed houses in the Sierras or something like that. She was always trying to figure some other way to pull together money. And a lot of the reason why she was trying to get together the money was so that she could do her music. So she never lost that love of music. The last time I really had to sit down and talk with Kathy face to face was actually at Corey's wedding. And even then, there was this all of a sudden everything else seemed to fade in the background because she wanted to talk about music, and she wanted to talk about how she was going to be able to put together a recording to feature her singing. So, she was kind of a grown hippie in many ways. We had other activities with our little classes there. Our class was about 8 to 12 people, and we were all very social. So we would get together for a pool party, or I had them at a Christmas party at my place. And one time we all went up to the beach together, and Kathy came up, and she was in her shorts and just kind of letting it all hang out, as it were. So she didn't necessarily follow the social norms and mores, as those of us who knew Kathy are aware. So anyway, the world will be a little quieter place for Kathy not being here. For those who loved her, I know you're all going to really miss her. If she was around you, she ended up taking a good-sized space in your life, and it's not going to be easy to fill in that space again. So anyway, I appreciate having had this opportunity to say a few words about Kathy, and my love goes out to the family. They were kind enough to consider me family. I got to go and see Kathy one more time the night before she passed. I understand. I called Corey and asked different questions, and Kathy responded to those questions because Corey put me on speaker. And unfortunately, when I was there with them, as far as we know, Kathy did not awake during that time, but I was glad to be able to spend about a half an hour with her the night before she passed. So once again, she was the kind of person who took a big space in your life. She was generally always very positive. We always knew her for coming in with a big smile on her face, and again, for her love of music. We every once in a while she liked to be able to show that she could sing certain notes. So we were doing the song Heat Wave, and we were doing the Linda Ronstadt version, and that has this section in the background vocals where you sing a high falsetto note, and Kathy would just wail on that note. So she loved to do that. All right, so once again, thank you for the opportunity to speak a little bit about Kathy.